Hi Rob, thanks for joining us today on the Pushing the Boundaries. It's a good follow-up opportunity with you. I think we last spoke when it was right in the heart of phase 1 of the Covid-19 challenge, and we come back today and we're starting a second wave, aren't we? So I thought it'd be quite timely really just to catch up with you again and to see how you are using analytics, your data-driven cultures to really, to help support your frontline colleagues and help get your organisation through, potentially some really difficult times coming up. I know you've been developing. I've been seeing what you've been doing on LinkedIn, but hopefully we'll be able to do a little bit of a demo today for folks and to share that innovation. Hopefully somewhere in the world today, or when they see this, they'll go, right, we need to do a little bit of that. So, Rob, can you just sort of tell people what you've done and how you're preparing?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. And yeah, great to be speaking again. And yeah, you're right. We spoke as COVID was hitting in March, and the healthcare system here within the Morecambe Bay region was I think, like all global systems, was really trying to cope with something which was moving at an unexpected speed and with unexpected or unanticipated impact in terms of severity. So it feels different. I agree. The incidence of COVID is certainly growing. It's growing in this region. In particularly some of the neighbouring areas which the hospital serves, it's growing really quickly. So I think it feels different this time. It feels more controlled. There's a better understanding around what systems need to be in place. And from a data perspective, we've learned a lot, and we've been revising our analytical solutions to enable the organisation to best both tackle the kind of the acute urgent nature of people who are chronically ill, but also the other really important part for a healthcare system is what about all the people who are waiting for treatment that's got nothing to do with COVID? Cancer people who perhaps have a cancer treatment pathway, people for operations which can have really serious consequences if they're if not undertaken. So there's a lot of focus on both sort of reaction and a kind of a more measured approach, a data-driven approach to targeting how people are treated with coronavirus, but also a data-driven way of looking at how does the system best recover and start to implement, the kind of, in inverted commas, routine healthcare within very different environments. So yeah, happy to sort of talk through some of the examples of what we've been doing.
Yeah, that's great, Rob. And I think, and that's the preparedness that where you've designed, you've got your analytics in place to support that. And the reality is that COVID's going to be with us for some time. And we have to deliver and get on with those other things that are so important in the world. So it'd be very interesting to see how you're doing both elements of the acute COVID issue, but also whilst really trying to keep that traditional BAU going. So that's going to be fascinating, I think, for folk to see that today. So yeah, take it away, Rob. All yours.
That's great. So I think first of all we can have a look at our analytical command center. Something we've talked about, Sean. You've been sort of very much involved in our development of that as a concept, and I think for me that it really sort of encapsulates, I think, the cultural change, which is a key part of this. So I think as I'm just sharing my screen.
Yeah, that's okay.
What we've certainly found is, and a lot of people have talked about this and commentated on it, that despite the obvious severity of the pandemic, I think there's a real opportunity for for digital and for analytics and for data solutions to support a much more targeted response and effective response to things. I think the kind of cultural buy-in to a lot of that has accelerated. It certainly has within the organisation I work within, which is fantastic. So hopefully you can see my screen.
And I just want to say that whenever I see the command centre, your frictionless design, it fills me with joy, because there's so many complicated sort of UI approaches out there. And again, the simplicity for those frontline users shines through. So yeah, it's great to see it up there in all its clarity. So yeah, looking forward to this.
Excellent. And yeah, I mean, and I think as a vision, as a it's more than a solution. I would say as a new way of working and helping to drive healthcare delivery, it's working, and yeah, it's good to see. So just picking up on the front screen, I won't go through the command center app, but you can see we can look at urgent care, and that's been the sort of bread and butter of what we started with, thinking about command centers. How do we use live information to give insights first of all, and then to drive action? So the whole kind of purpose of the app is that every piece of information that we display is designed to get someone to do something with it. So we're looking at the emergency situations right here, right now, within Morecambe Bay at the moment, so looking at ambulances who are coming into the organisation, and also what's happening within the ED department. And I won't linger on that. I'd like to look at what that means in terms of COVID and patients who are in hospital, who are either positive or are suspected as positive. I think there's needed to draw a distinction between the two as well. Patients are admitted with symptoms, but other patients may be asymptomatic when they arrive at hospital, and they may become unwell during it, and that's really needed. We need to understand that from a clinical and operational perspective. Quite a complicated management of patient flow within COVID, either COVID excluded or COVID treatment wards within the hospital at the moment. So we can see currently that we have 66 patients on our two main sites in total who are displaying active symptoms and have an active diagnosis of coronavirus, and one within the community. It's I think this has allowed real-time decision making to be made. The bed management team congregate around this app in really big scale. You've seen it in the command center, 55 touch screens, and this has been used to drive decision making about exactly what patients. I won't click on the patient details tab within the demo, but I could click onto the plus sign, see which patients are in which ward, and then take action if I were operational or clinical. So we're showing both patients who are showing as positive, and also patients who are within the hospital and have been screened but are awaiting results. And again, really important to be able to identify those potential positives who will impact around where patients are cared for in terms of their location.
I guess looking ahead, those showing, identifying the ones that have been screened waiting for test results also gives you a better position on demand management through through that patient flow, because you have to go somewhere, so it will immediately allows you to get ahead of the game, doesn't it? So yeah, good stuff. Yeah,
it does. And then perhaps we can look at our suite of COVID related apps. So I think the key thing for me was, and we talked about this last time, there was such a focused and urgent need for us to be able to respond and develop solutions on the fly for the organisation as coronavirus was developing, and that requirement hasn't changed. It's still there. It's the pressure is slightly lower now, but more sustained. But the kind of change situation, the change in demands from agencies continues to grow. The changing situation on the ground in terms of the sort of clinical case mix of patients is changing. So I think we've really benefited from being able to develop apps on the fly. The use of Write Back has been it's been pivotal. And I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you, Sean.
No, I know you wouldn't, but yeah.
It has been really important for us. So the concept of developing a web app on the fly, where we can allow our clinicians and operational managers to capture additional information, augment the clinical record really quickly and easily, and then in real time utilize that data to allow them to gain additional insight has been really important. And I'll just flick on to one of our apps. I've removed a few of the sort of detail fields, but this is a clinical app we developed using the Forms Write Back extension for allowing our clinical teams to identify patients who are showing us having a positive screening test, but may or may not have had their clinical records updated yet. So those get a lag, and I guess as robust and as advanced as the clinical systems are, you're always reliant on, I guess, we call it a human tie, the sort of human data entry sort of part of that process is, there's obviously inherent risk, but we can use analytics to minimize that, so it mitigates the risk. So this app's looking at, I can have a look and see patients who were screened recently. So I took a copy of this just before lunch. So it's updating I think this one's updating every minute. And so when I took it, I could see these patients, the screening results were coming in. So they're captured on our laboratory systems, and we grab the data straight away. But what we're doing is we're providing a tool to allow our clinical staff to just capture a bit of additional information about how they're reviewing the patient record and what contact they've had. So against any of these records here, I can say, has a GP letter been sent to a patient? Yes or no? Have I created an alert, a flag within our EPR system, our electronic health record? Yes or no? Have I been in touch with the patient? Yes or no? And then a bit of additional information around to help us properly link together our clinical systems and our against any members of staff who may be tested, identified as positive. A bit of information about where a member of staff may or may not work.
So this is actively filling, again, talk about risk management, noting the kind of sort of failure, I guess, or flawed human processes around updating EPRs, what have you. This is providing a solution to get you near real time, updating every minute. So in effect, it's potentially limiting exposure to other patients. It's allowing you to put safety measures in place, actually saving lives, I guess, ultimately, potentially, is what it's designed to do. Is that right, Rob? Or?
Yeah, it is. And, I guess we sort of think about, and you and I talk about, a kind of a platform of analytics supporting delivery within an organization, whatever the organization is. This very much, I guess I would sort of conceptualize it as being, a sort of a clinically focused application that is, kind of part of the broader patient flow sort of command center type approach, but it is really targeted at a patient record level. And yeah, it's absolutely, without question, it's a mission critical app. Without question, if it were to stop working, I know that someone's on the phone straight away to understand why, and it's definitely impacted on the safer care of patients. It's been really successful. And just to sort of, I won't linger on it, but I think to sort of highlight the value of being able to capture additional data, however, in whatever format we want to, write it back into the app, the users using, in real time, and then we can start to then analyze that and allow people to draw additional insight from it. So it's been, I think, transformative in terms of getting engagement by the front line. It's to better partnership work.
Yeah, Rob, that's in terms of the future, that's the way I see analytics going, or being very practical and powerful in its use. So that 4th gen analytics, where you're actually bringing people in to write back, to engage, to interact. It's not about fancy, visualizations. This is about core engagement with analytics to drive actionable intelligence. And I think when we think about 4th gen analytics and how that can be, I can really see you shaping the way here with near real time operational use at the front line, mission critical. That's what we want analytics to be, is to be that safety net, to help people do their work easier and faster, Rob. And that's just lovely to see. Very simple, very pragmatic, but just very powerful. So thank you for that one. Brilliant.
Thank you. I agree, and I think we know from a lot of the big studies that have happened, a lot of the organisations who are interested in digital acceleration, people like HIMSS, for example, by embedding analytics and AI, machine learning, as an example, into workflow within an organisation, and that drives forward data-driven decision making, which is what we're about. It's what kind of gets us out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, and this is almost like the reverse, isn't it? Because you're embedding workflow into analytics rather than embedding analytics into workflow. it's the reverse, but actually it's what works, and it's very cost-effective way of creating workflows quickly for which is actually a very fast-moving environment that you're working in, isn't it? Things are changing by the day. You'll need new things, new requirements. There's new risks appearing. There's escalation of risks. To be able to spin up things like that, and you've clearly got the infrastructure, and you've invested your strategy, Rob, which I know we've talked about quite a lot. But your strategy has got a really good foundation in place, hasn't it, to make best use of resource across your organisation in difficult times. So again, it fills me with utter joy to be able to see people exploiting data in those environments like you're doing. So yeah, it's just made after a bit of a sad week we've had this week, it's really made my day today. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. No,
keep going.
Okay, right. Okay, so I absolutely agree. So then just sort of holding on to that point, a really interesting point you make. It's you're right. So that's a good call out that we're kind of we can create workflow on the fly and sort of move the focus of where frontline staff are working, and that definitely for us, the ability to stand up a solution quickly, within a few hours, within a day at the most, to augment the existing business systems, clinical systems, whatever the industry were in place. But you're right. That the pace, the ability to respond at pace, but also with something which is is robust. I think the concept of a sort of technological safety net is really important. We won't go into details around some of the things which have happened in the UK at a national level, but you're right. The kind of the vision, the investment in strategy, the buy-in to the strategy, the commitment to having the right technology framework in place, it is really important because it allows one to respond in a really effective way under this type of situation.
And I think the more I look at it, Rob, and the more I see people like yourself posting about it, where you can actually got flexibility of tooling, and you've got that ability to use different types of technology quickly together, combine these things together, it does allow you definitely to be an advantage rather than stuck with a rather fixed sort of framework, shall we say. So yeah, that's quite impressive, and I think that's a bit like everything, isn't it? The world needs to be flexible, and technology needs to flex with the world. It shouldn't be dictating the way that the world works. It should be supporting the way the world works. So I'm a big fan of how you've embraced multiple technologies. So that's really good.
Yeah,
really good.
Really, yeah, thank you. Shall I quickly show you an app that's supporting the other arm of what's happening in healthcare at the moment? So I guess we talked about how we react and how we have to continue to react and evolve to the live situation. But the other really important challenge facing all business, and it's not just, I guess it's kind of the part of healthcare that's more aligned to business per se, is the process of recovery or transformation. I guess a lot of organisations will never recover to the business models they had in place before, and healthcare is absolutely the same as that. But it's about how we can use data and analytics to better inform the decisions around what recovery looks like. And I can show you one of the example apps for that.
Yeah, please, Rob. Yeah, please do. Again, I'm just really hoping that people will, in your industry and in other industries, have a look at this stuff and really think, actually, how can we do something different, and how can we do something that's going to have a big impact to get us through actually what's quite a difficult time out there in the world at the moment. So. It's great to share that, and I know you're a great sharer of innovation. So, again, looking forward to seeing this one, Rob. So please share.
So this is an app we developed with our clinical teams to allow them to review patients who are waiting for treatment. So this is non-COVID patients, but there's globally there's a very quickly growing mass of patients who would have been treated for routine operations with varying degrees of severity or acuity since March. And that's, if you think, I guess it's a big issue within the system I work within. At a national level, it's a massive issue. At a global level, it's a really serious issue. It's going to have public health ramifications for us all, I think, and economic and social ramifications over the medium term. But this is designed with clinicians in mind. So it's it's designed to be a really simple app, and it's a solution. Really, it's a clinical solution. And this allows clinicians to have a look at what patients they've got within their service, to see what type of waiting list that they're on, and to make a clinical decision about. They'll review the patient, have a look at the electronic patient record, and make a decision around. It's effectively another triage process around what needs to be done to help that patient depending on their condition. So a bit of sort of general instructions.
Yeah. So Rob, just on that. So the differentiator on what you're saying there is that you're able to, again, put in a workflow that you just can't do with your existing systems. Is that the whole kind of like your creativity or innovation here is using what you're doing to fill a gap in terms of your workflow or your process? Is that what you're saying?
It is, yeah. So I think I guess you would ideally within healthcare, everything would be managed potentially through either one large electronic health record system or some connecting clinical systems. But we know that they're complex systems, and you sometimes just can't do what you want to do or what's the right thing to do within the systems. That's kind of one scenario. Or secondly, perhaps things are just moving so quickly. So I guess the kind of current situation is such that the service needs to respond and needs to capture perhaps capture additional information, or perhaps needs to analyse a cohort of patients in a way that's not supported through the clinical systems. And yeah, it's the only way to provide a safe mechanism for clinicians to work safely is to have some sort of interconnected solution like we've built here, that's reads data live from a clinical system, but is giving them a kind of customized way to capture additional information, and that effectively it's augmenting the larger clinical systems, but in a really agile way, because we can do it quickly. We can do it within hours.
Yeah, and I think that's a real powerful concept for people to exploit, because you're right. Changing big systems is a bit of a process if you're able to, and being able to augment. That's a good word. Augment key things that are required by using what you're doing. By doing it like you are, then that really does allow you to move, doesn't it? To move the game on, and to be able to, really the best way to help support these challenging things that folk are having to do at the moment. So yeah, that's a brilliant strategic kind of angle, I think. We're looking at the tactical with the apps, Rob, but actually there's a real strategic. Again, I'm viewing it a bit like that fourth gen stuff, where we're thinking about analytics differently in terms of how it can be delivered in an organisation, and I think you're kind of nailing it, Rob, there. So yes, great. Let's have a little look at this one then.
Yeah. Great. So we give the user a bit of config capability, which I think is quite nice to show. Really, that I think again, it feels to me like we're really quickly leaving behind the concept of traditional dashboarding. The idea of developing something for someone to look at and then sort of draw insight is I think is it's got its place, absolutely, but I think the ability to think of apps and analytical solutions more as tools, I think, as you said, is important. So we give the user the ability to do a bit of config. They can choose what they want to see within the tool. So I guess it's kind of moving towards this kind of sort of web application sort of territory. So there's a bit of config, so the user can decide what they want to see within the main page of the app. I'll just bring up this pop-up for us, and then on the main page, there we go. It gives the clinician a tool which allows them to use the kind of inbuilt power of ClickSense to search, do a bit of searching and filtering. So I'll just look at a sort of random clinical service. Trauma orthopedics is probably a good one, and I may be a trauma orthopedic consultant, and I may want to look at my urgent patients. It's urgent. I could select myself if I wanted to, if I were one, but I won't. Because it's a live app, and then they give me the ability to triage the patient live. So I can reference the clinical systems. I can then make clinical decisions. So it's allowed me to capture additional information. So this is a decision, a clinical decision. I might decide that this patient needs an urgent face-to-face consultation, and obviously capacity is limited due to both the social distancing requirements and backlog. But it's a finite resource, but I may decide this patient absolutely has to be seen, and we'll get them in. So I'll record it as them requiring an urgent face-to-face meeting. I may actually decide that there's a telephone appointment could be appropriate, or may make a clinical decision that the patient, I can see they've already received treatment within a physiotherapy service within the community. They may decide just to reject that patient entry and arrange for them to have a GP appointment to review their current situation. And we capture other things like whether a video consultation is appropriate. So a clinical review, triaging, I can make the decision if I want to defer defer treatment by a number of weeks. So it might be that an urgent consultation is required, and we may want to defer it by a week because of capacity issues. And then also I can identify some additional, I can note down some booking instructions. So this is used by clinicians to review patients on a patient-by-patient basis, and then it's being picked up by our admin teams to physically contact the patients and
writing back. Are you
writing back into another app, which probably don't have time to show today, which is the other app, which is part of this suite, which is for the admin staff to use to take the additional data captured, and then they can use that to admin the patients on a case-by-case basis.
And just think, Rob, you're creating workflows, augmenting processes that are required during these challenging times. And, just, I don't know, it's a question, to be able to get a system in that quick to do what you want it to do, is that not even feasible, is it really? I mean, it must be quite hard to do stuff like that.
It's not feasible, I think. So I think that therein lies the value of the idea of upstream investment for downstream value. One couldn't respond through engaging with a supplier to put a system in place which probably doesn't exist. One can engage with an existing supplier to refine and change a system to be able to to develop new functionality, or to develop some new user interface screens or whatever it is. I think the whole concept of being agile as an organization, tools like the Inphinity Forms right back solution embedded within an industry leading tool like ClickSense has been really powerful for us. It would not have been possible to respond so comprehensively and so quickly without it, and so safely as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're creating a new way of using analytics, exploiting the technology that's there. Again, as we always talk, Rob, isn't it? It's about our solution focus. It's about the creativity, connecting with, frontline people or business people. It's not just about technology. It's about the combination of things, the leadership, all of the blueprint really of exploiting what is actually that strategic investment that you've got. So that's just great, Rob. Thank you so much, and I'm really, really, really excited for people to hear about what you've been doing here. So I think the team will get this out as quick as they can, and it'd be lovely if people were able to make contact with you and find out a little bit more. Really, hope we give them a good taster today. But again, just think if some of those COVID apps are people really struggling, if someone did something similar, it could have a big impact, couldn't it? It's there for the taking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I think I think that's the value, and it's it's not supplier or system. It's agnostic, so it doesn't matter what system you use. I think as long as you have access to some data, I think the whole concept of, as you said, augmenting is a really good way of describing it. I think I think people can lift and shift these type of things really easily. I'm excited, if we can generate a bit of discussion and interest in collaboration, then yeah, we should absolutely do it.
Yeah, and I think maybe we ought to at some point, Rob, we ought to work together and go off and support organisations doing some amazingly cool stuff. What do you reckon? You up for that?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Sweet, Sean.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. I'll try and sort it out one day. Brilliant. So thank you so much for your time, Rob, and yeah, good luck with everything and to your team, and yeah, stay safe.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks again.
Thank you.